Okay. Sounds good. Mm-mm.
Giving people time to hop on.
Sounds good. See.
I should have played some music, but child, they've been muting the first part of the lives when you play music that's not licensed. And
Exactly. Just throw you on out.
Y'all know it's Black History Month. Come in with some Negro spirits. You know my voice getting out, but we do way
listen,
harder.
listen. Why is my picture the biggest though?
Way.
Let's no.
Because
This
you're a celebrity, you're a superstar. Don't deny
child
it.
picture.
Yeah.
This your fire pit. This your
No,
fire
okay. No, stop. Come on in, come on in. There go Peach. Hey, Renee. And is that Janaya? And then there's Jay. Hey, y'all.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. We're gonna have a good time.
That's all we know how to do.
Period.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna give a few more minutes. And while we do that, I do want to say, so now before we start anything, I'm in this thing, come through earrings. Okay, Josh, you doing that. I'm missing a whole earring.
Not
Right?
me. Not me.
You doing that. You are doing that. But before we dive into that, here lately we've been showing our TKO video.
Mhm.
And I want to make sure that I give praise and props because Josh Baker, you did that, sir. You
Well,
did that.
thank you.
So I'm gonna play this while we wait for a few more people to get in. Um, I hope y'all like it. It's really dope.
It is.
TKO is a place where I can truly call home. The people over TKO is literally my family, and I can always find refuge within them without having to be judged.
I am striving every day to be who I am authentically. I am helping those in need that need to be helped. I am actually seeing the other side of the story. I see new perspectives because of them, and I am forever grateful for that.
TKO means everything to me. Being able to help out our community and voice our opinions and receive feedback and being able to feel comfortable in our own skin is all I ever wanted from me and my peers.
The Knights and Orchid Society envisions a future where transgender, lesbian, bisexual, and gay Black people are empowered to live full and healthy lives free from harm. The Knights and Orchid Society Incorporated builds the power of transgender, lesbian, bisexual, and gay Black people across the South by providing a spectrum of health and wellness services. The Knights and Orchid Society understands that movement work takes a village. At TKO, there is a place for you to pour back into our community. There are limitless volunteer opportunities to include special event support, technical support, administrative support, and sharing your expertise with our youth ambassadors. The revolution requires many hands. Won't you join us in uplifting our people? As Audre Lorde once said, without community, there is no liberation. But community must not mean a shedding of our differences, nor the pathetic pretense that these differences do not exist. For more information on volunteering with the Knights and Orchid Society, visit tkosociety.com or call 334-526-2218.
That sets the tone every time for me. That was beautiful.
Yes.
It sets the tone every time for me. So thank you.
You're so
Um,
welcome.
I'm gonna be holding down the comments. I'm do my best and try to hop in and out of this conversation with y'all. But I really, really wanted y'all to leave with this. I'm TC, former communications director. I'm now the community engagement director. I use they them pronouns, and I'm happy to be here with my village. So
Okay.
somebody else can hop in.
All right. Hey, y'all. My name is Josh Baker, he, him pronouns. I'm a student of life by day, city girl by night. But realistically, I am a social worker by discipline. I have my bachelor's and master's in social work, and I'm currently a first year PhD student studying social psychology. And I'm also the youth program coordinator at none other than TKO Society.
Okay, my name is Danielle Mars. I use she, her pronouns. I have a master's in community counseling, and I decided to just smoke some crack and do another master's in social work. And so I will be finishing that degree up in May, and will become licensed by the end of this year. And so I am currently working with TKO. I did a career shift, and I am the human resource manager. So I'll be taking care of my people who are taking care of our community.
Baby,
That's powerful.
drop them receipts, okay? Drop them receipts. And we're so happy to have like you all here. Let's dive into it, right?
Period.
When we advertised this, I was not prepared for the pushback from folks, and I just want to be very transparent in this. The amount of ugly comments I saw around Black mental health
Mm.
when we did like the how you boost an ad or whatever,
Yes.
Yeah.
and the amount of ugly comments that I saw coming from white people,
Of course.
but even some Black people, and it's just this whole thing around like this is why we have these conversations, right? This is why we have
Absolutely.
these very uncomfortable, necessary conversations. So, how can I hold you? A lot of people are like, what does that even mean, right? And having a conversation with Danny and Josh,
Yes.
oh my God, you'll see before this is over with what we mean by how can I hold you. So I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and dive on in. I'm in the background, but I'm gonna let y'all dive on in. I'm gonna hop in at y'all.
I'm so glad you dropped that gem. Like the idea that because we didn't know about the whole backlash about the comments. Just so y'all know what happens.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is the only thing I can assume is that a lot of the backlash is like, why does it have to be separate? Why is it kind of like the all lives matter to the Black lives matter kind of? Here's the funny thing about it: when you look at the history, when you look at the literature, because whiteness is normative, mental health and mental health resolution for disparity is by default white. So yes, you have to have something specific. You have to have something derivative that is just for people who are minority, who are marginalized, because at the end of the day, everything is so shrouded in whiteness, so many of our systems, so many of our institutions, that even when we think about the idea of mental health and suicidality even being like taboo within the Black community, we joke about it all the time, right? Well, Black people, we don't worry about that thing. We don't talk about that sort of thing. Well, why don't we? Not by choice, but because whiteness being normative means that everything by default becomes normative and related to whiteness. So no, we need Black mental health spaces. No, we need to talk about Black love and Black sexuality and everything with Black specificity, because there is so much nuance that is not taken into account when it's viewed through a white normative lens. So send them comments my way, just in case people pull up.
You got me.
No, like, I definitely agree, and I feel like I would just listen to a seat at the table because like that just is always on repeat. And I remember like Tina knows, like they're like, well, you got Black History Month, why don't you do a White History Month? And she was like, well, all we know is white history, and I feel like as I get older, like I remember listening to a podcast one time, and they were saying about like the true. Like not a negative, but once about really being woke is like really learning like what you don't know and how much of it is just like and so like to me like that is like a backlash of like really like okay, you went through K through 12 and you even went through grad or undergrad, but then really learn like okay, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Like I learned about certain things because I learning things as an adult compared to just being taught some things. And I think again like there are things that I do now for like gentleness and like meditation that was not part of anybody's curriculum. That was not part of anything, but other people have been doing it. And again, it was seen very much like that what white people do. But I'm like, no, we need to be doing that. Everybody needs to be doing that. And so like learning, like honestly, like having a whole nother reparenting session as I get as an adult to be like, what is it that I want to do? Not compared to like, oh, okay, well, this is a white thing or a black, but like learning what's helpful for me, but and then also bring it to my community. Be like, now it may not work for you, but this is something that I have done and it is helpful. So let's talk about this and not look at it and be like, well, because again, my thing has always been like that. Sometimes people do not share things with us, but then look at us and be like, oh, well, y'all have all these issues, y'all have all this trauma. But there's a thing about children being resilient, but I'm like, if you don't give them the tools to be resilient, how can they be? How can they be? So like it is a continual, and for me it's important to make sure that like whatever I'm learning, I'm also giving it out. Like it's not gonna stay with me. It's gonna go to my god baby. It's gonna go to my nieces and nephews. Yes. Go to those who touched me too. So
I love that. And also highlighting how wellness is not in proximity to blackness often, right? Talk about wellness. I never see people who look like me. But like you said, having to learn things as an adult, I'm learning that wellness for us is not going to look like a traditional standpoint, right? Yeah. Like we love stressing our motto, nurturing through a non-traditional care, right?
Yeah.
It's going to look foreign to people who don't have tools, who don't have language. And a lot of times when we do have the tools and the language, we don't have the know-how, right? So diving into that, like I'm gonna let y'all go ahead.
No, like you say, like what is gonna look like it's not gonna look traditional, and like like when you said that, the first thing that came to mind was laughter. Like if we are people, like I'm gonna be petty towards you because I'm gonna have a gift game. Your gift game better be up, because like that is how I'm gonna show my love to you. That's how I'm gonna show wellness. Like having those things of like, like I am all for the massages, I'm all for the pedicure, but it's like also like I'm also gonna be the one that like I heard something in what you said, and so like I'm gonna look on Etsy, I'm gonna look on Amazon, see who got it, come send it to you, because I want you to know that I hear you. And like for me, that's such a part of my love language, my wellness, is to make sure that like people around me know that like I hear them, I see them, and I'm also gonna make fun of you, like in the process of that.
No, that's gorgeous. And what I love is, once again, that idea of like blackness and proximity to wellness. And I think especially like in Black History Month, we would be remiss if we didn't look at this through a historical context, right? So if we go from a theoretical framework, right, let's put on the academic hat real quick. We think about Cooley's Looking Glass up, right, which talks about how we develop a perception of ourselves in accordance to how the world views us, right? So it's almost like we see what they see, and it looks back at us, and that tells us who we are. Historically, what has the world told Black people that we are? Let's look at some of our stereotypes, right? So we got the mammy stereotype. We got a service role. We got the strong Black man stereotype, which is either of service or he's dangerous and insidious because now he's trying to attack white purity. We got the Mandingo, where the Black man is fetishized. We got the Jezebel, where the Black woman is fetishized. Fast forward maybe 60 years into the future, we got the drug dealer stereotype. We got the angry Black woman stereotype. When in any of these presentations of Blackness have we seen someone healthy, Black, and soft? Healthy, Black, and in need. Healthy, Black, and vulnerable. So a lot of times when we have these conversations about what it is to need these things, we have to remove that idea of like a moral failing on our part, like some simple incompetence that we just can't overcome to seek out help, to know that we are even, in crisis, to know what it is to physiologically need help, to mentally and emotionally need help, to understand from a multidimensional perspective how all those mugs work at the same time and your body is breaking down, but you're so used to being hyperproductive, or you're so used to being strong and Black that you don't even know how to identify it. But historically, you haven't been given a model. Maybe from a familial perspective, because your mama didn't have a model, and her mama didn't have a model, or your daddy didn't have a model, his daddy didn't have a model. None of us have had these models until now, right? Where there are these generational shifts, like Gen Z and up, finna set this world on fire, and I'm ready for it. Because as a millennial, we was getting some things ready, but Gen Z does not care. Gen Z is about to flip this thing on its head, and I'm so excited. So for once in a long time, I think we're finally starting to see and engage the conversation around what Black softness looks like. But like you said, and proximity, wellness to Blackness, we haven't seen a lot of that.
Mm.
We've seen Black performance, but we haven't seen Black wellness. We've seen, all of these other elements of Blackness, Black service, but we haven't seen, Black health, Black wealth, Black softness. So, yeah, being able to reframe that, which I know is a big part of this conversation, being able to reframe what it is to be Black and to need help, and for that not to be a failing on your part, for you to depersonalize what it is to be Black and to need, right? Because societally and historically, we've been condemned for it.
That's it. That's it. Like, what are we talking about? What else needs to be done? Like,
and even adding the strong Black woman trope too, right? Like not forgetting that. There was a point I was gonna make that you said, oh, okay, we all over the place. I got neighbors moving in next door. I'm trying to make sure stuff over there good. But I was talking to a friend, and I think I've shared this before with y'all before, but I was talking to my homie, shout out to Lyric, our Harlem Belle. She's moving soon. And we were talking about y'all familiar with global warming.
Yes.
Right. Right. And I learned a few years ago that we are dealing, if I understood it correctly, we're dealing with the effects of global warming from the 70s. Right. Right. We haven't dealt with the 80s. We haven't dealt with the 90s. None of that. We ain't even got to our stuff yet. Right.
Right.
We haven't. That is the same way I feel about Black mental health when we're talking about our families. We call it generational curses, but the truth of the matter is we ain't dealt with the stuff.
Wow.
Right? That they had before. We can't even deal with our stuff because nobody's acknowledging the harm that happened in that last generation, right? And the generation before that and before that. So it looks different for us because just like the same way slavery has a timeline, our mental health and the tools and the resources and the love that we did not get from institutions, from our families, because let's just keep it a book. I've been reading Bell Hooks. That's our next book club book.
Yes.
A lot of our parents didn't have the capacity, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the tools or the language or the time. Right? And people be like, you make time for what you want. I'm taking care of children. Yeah. I have to do this job, right? I got to make sure this household is together. And that let me know then, because my first look at masculinity, right?
Yeah.
Came from the Black women in my family. If we're going by definition, if we're going by what the standard is that we put on dark-skinned Black women, let's keep that a buck too, right?
Yeah.
But seeing that, like, oh shit, she didn't have room to be soft. But the moments I did see her softness, the moments I did get to see her in her best Sunday outfit, right?
Yeah.
And being able to be feminine. Okay. Didn't realize then that was a privilege outside of Black folks, right?
Right.
But her be able to be feminine and do her makeup in the mirror, her being able to laugh, to laugh. Do you know? I didn't realize that was a commodity too. To be able to laugh and have joy. We're talking. I know I'm all over the place, but my grandmother was a maid when Martin Luther King. It was announced that he had been assassinated. She had to wait to go home to cry. I don't know what that did to her body all those years ago, right? Right? But like little microaggressions, that's not even little, but these microaggressions that we see are people who have not healed all the shit from then. Right. I can talk.
No, that is like, and I think for me, I'm finally coming into that. Like, again, like I shared in my introduction, like this, like what I'm doing now is a shift. Like, and it is a shift in my consciousness to be like, okay, I gotta show up early. I gotta leave late. I gotta do all these things. And like, even though like me and my friend group, we talked about like, most time we're the first in all of, like for me, I'm the first one to go to college. I'm the first one to get like, again, like what I knew of was was the mom and dad and brother. They're working on some white man's farm. They're being some white person's maid. Like all those things are what I knew. So like not knowing like how to be in this world of like working with the politicking and working and doing those things of like how do I show up as a black woman being myself, but then also knowing that I am in a majority white world, even if we have black CEOs or black supervisors, like we know what the monotony is, and we know what it is. And so like for me, like I really am stepping back and being like, I know my shit. Like that is like there's something like I have to I know my shit. Like it made you like I don't have anything to kind of prove to you or even prove to myself. And like but honestly, like it also feels like I'm also like letting like my ancestors know like okay, I'm working hard, but like I'm not gonna work myself to death and have what to show for it. Like
Yes.
I after my mom passed, like I was so worried, like am I like did I make her proud? Like I don't know if I made her proud, but like I do know. Like every day that I decide to be myself, I am making my ancestors proud. Every day that I decide this one more day, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna do something for me. Like I think about like my like having conversations with my mom and like and knowing like her life, her whole adult life was being a mother. Like I'm one of 7 brothers. I'm one of 10 children. Like so her adult life, like at she had me at 35. And again, I'm number 9. So again, all her adult life, she had kids and she was a mother. And so like, and there were so many things that she wanted to do that she didn't do. And when she got a chance to do so, she was at an age that she wasn't comfortable. And like for me, I'm like, no, I want to be happy. Like, and I want to be able to say that I am doing things because I want to do it and not so of like out of this fear factor and be like, okay, well, I gotta be, because this is what I said. I said I'm gonna be in college for counseling, so I gotta be a counselor. But like, I don't want to do counseling. I believe in counseling, just not me doing the counseling. And
Come
so
on.
like learning to like really show up for myself and like and knowing that like I am making them proud because I'm making myself proud.
Yes.
Can we do a quick shift? Just you said mentioning losing your mother. Um, Both of you have lost your parents,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right. Can we touch on like how can I say this? The importance of community
Ooh,
during those times, but also like how you probably had to get to a place where you could even ask for
Yeah.
community to come in, right?
Yeah. I
mm-hmm.
have
Yeah.
a good friend in my life. She was a fellow honors program alum when from my university. And I remember when I lost my mom and she said to me, she said, get what you need now so you don't have to beg for it later.
Ooh,
And like that was so transcendent. Like it flows and spills over into everything that I approach in life. But yeah, especially when it comes from being someone who might be prideful, being someone who operates in like hyper independence, and we can even unpack how that in itself is a trauma response.
yes.
But it does take a lot to reframe what it means to actually need help, to be soft when your grief is so public, right? Because for a lot of like what I think what happens with a lot of Black grief is that it happens in a very quiet way, or at least we try to keep it quiet. We
Mhm.
try to keep it confined. We try to keep the details to ourselves because when it becomes public, it becomes real. But when you suffer like such public losses, like the death of a parent, that is one of those moments where you're so raw and you feel so naked and you feel so seen that no matter how bright you smile, no matter how jovial you come across, in this moment, the spotlight is on you. And
Mhm.
whether people attempt to put this pressure on you or not, it's almost like this understood question of what is he going to do next? What
Yes.
happens now?
Yeah.
So to be able to lean into community, to become whoever I need to be in that capacity, I think has made all the difference. Something I've been carrying in my spirit lately is this idea of like disrupting the dichotomy, right?
Mm.
Which the helper versus the help mentality versus like more of a continuum mentality.
Mhm.
Because when we enter into a lot of these mental health talks, especially as healers, I think it's easy for us to come into it as one of two people.
Mhm.
Either you come into the conversation as the healer Like you trying to get the tools, like how can I take this back to community? Or you come into it as the person needing help, trying to get the tools for yourself. But what we have to understand is that we're everyone.
All of it together at the same time sometimes.
At the same time, there is no one or the other. So like healers, yeah, you need the healing too. Healed, y'all are healers in some capacity. And especially when we go back to that idea of being able to reframe how Blackness operates, especially in all the areas where whiteness is normative. I don't care how smart you are, how many degrees you have, how many professional affiliations you have, how beloved you are by the community. When grief hits you, you are as human as everybody else. When trauma hits you, when harm hits you, when vulnerability and violation hits you, you are as human as everyone else. So giving ourselves that self-agency and self-permission to be able to say, like, I know who I am, I know what I've experienced, I know all of these feats that I've conquered, but in this grief, I have to be somebody different, and that's okay. In this trauma, I'm somebody different, and that's okay. In this harm, I'm somebody different, and I'm not holding myself accountable to anybody who I was before now. Because right now is the only moment that exists. Anything before that's null, that's void. Because I am operating in the moment with the new information that I'm receiving. So yeah, I think, for my grief, it was necessary, especially in proximity to community, to give myself permission to utilize community, to override the hyper independence, to say, I know you're prideful. I know you don't like asking for help. I know you don't like to be seen as vulnerable and needing, but you are all of those things, and that's okay.
Oh, damn it, Josh, you are just amazing. Can I just say that you are just amazing?
That's you, my love.
I wanted to say, like, I think I got that true operational definition of vulnerability, like when my mom passed. Like, I look back at pictures and I'm like, that was pre when mom was here. Like, because who I am after August 11, 2020, that, like you said, that person is null and void. Like, there are pieces of her that is coming back, but there's a new person. Because like that was something for me. I think there's a luxury as an adult, I mean, as a child, that like, you feel like mom is super mom that's gonna be forever. Like my mom, she was diagnosed with her first cancer in the 4th grade, so my veil was torn then. Like I knew then that she could leave me at any time, and so like I always kind of had that thought in my brain, like what would happen. And so for me to be almost 2 years after her passing, like I'm still alive, like that's a blessing. Because I'm like, oh, you go ahead and put me in the casket too, like that.
Immediately.
Like it's all right.
Yes.
And so I think that like there has been strength and vulnerability. And like and for me there, like what I appreciated about community was like there were times that I didn't say anything and like they knew, and like they like TC checked on me every day. And made sure, like TC was like, are you eating? Have you ate anything? And like, and those, like that was needed. Like my friends, like we do WhatsApp videos to each other, and like I literally would send them videos of me crying, and they allowed me to cry. They never asked me to do or be anything else. Like they still ask, like, how am I doing? Like we still process like the fact that like I had a sad weekend, and like and we were able to process that. And like I don't think that would have been me pre 2020.
Yeah.
But like that definitely is me now, and like me being able to still like speak about her in a way that feels comfortable to me, and like even knowing like with even my name of being Slim Shady, and I'm not as slim as I was pre 2020, but I'm also, it's like I'm doing the best that I can, and like and being vulnerable even in that, and saying like, okay, yes, I love to work out. There was a part of me, and one day I hope to get back to it. But at this moment, I know it's because like I am still like grief, like never leaves. Like it transcends, it does things, and like having that community to be safe in, and feel like their loss wasn't comparable to mine, but they still lost something, and they still hold me safe in that. Like I think one of the biggest things that allowed me to be vulnerable was like one, just like that, because I mean I don't think, and I do love it where people like ask like how can I support you, but like to me it was like the time where like I got Cash App, and I got like no,
Yeah.
this is for dinner, this is for lunch, and like and still like being able to kind of hold me there. And I remember maybe like 3 or 4 months. Like I might have been at the end of 2020, end of 2020, or the beginning of 2021, and so like it was a horrible weekend. And then like my washing machine just decided it didn't want to work no more, and like that
Yeah.
like I was over like
That was the straw.
I don't care about school. I don't care about that. I'm just
Yes.
And so like, and my friend and Renee, she reached out, and I didn't answer just because like I didn't have it. Like not that like I
Mm.
was in the void, like I didn't have it. And like I'm like I can't wash. And so she came over. She didn't even find where I was. She knocked on the door, told you answer. She like give me Danielle's clothes. Like, and that for me
Mm.
was like we've already been solidified, but like it just took us to another
Yeah.
level because like she knew what I needed. And even though in the midst of me not even having the capacity to ask, I think like the end of last year, like that was a word for me, just capacity, like learning like what I had capacity to do. Like some days I have more capacity, but there are some days where like I have I'm gonna be like I'm gonna do the bare minimum. If you want anything else, that sucks for you because it's all I can give you.
Period.
So like knowing what my
Clothes.
capacity is for certain days has been so helpful. And I think like I really because I feel like for me like group just helped me to be like to learn how to be soft, because I think I've always been the host. I've
Yeah.
always been the one to be like, oh, I hear you, I see you, let me do this. And so like for me to like learn how to be like, hey, I need help, or hey, I can't hang out today because I just
So
don't have
important.
it in me. So I think like having people in your community who don't expect anything is so needed. It's so needed.
Yeah.
Like if you like if I see something, hear something, or if I haven't heard something, like let me check on you. Like let me make sure that you are doing good. And again, having that was life changing. Definitely life changing.
That is so precious. Like you are a wealth of wisdom, and
Mhm.
I'm always inspired to be in the TKO family because we got nothing but rock stars and shooters out here.
That's it.
You
That's
said both of
it.
them rock stars and shooters.
Right.
But there are two things that you said that just so poignantly, I think, go back to that idea of Black mental health. So the first thing, going back to community,
Hmm.
what I love in the richness of what you are giving me your testimonial is that community teaches you how to hold community. And like we can never forget
Yeah.
about that bi-directional relationship, about the way that we are in our crisis, how we are held. Once again, even if we want to go back, throwing it back to the theoretical framework, that idea of social learning theory, the
Yeah.
way that we learn through behavioral modeling.
Most
Well,
definitely.
when I know that I'm in my crisis and you show up in this way, oh my gosh, a light bulb goes off that when you're in crisis, even if it's not a one size fits all,
Right.
maybe this is something you might benefit from. I have a friend who recently lost his mom, and for me, and understandably for you, that's always gonna be a sensitive spot, especially,
Always.
especially being someone who lost my mom at 20.
Mm.
Like there is this there's this sadness and almost this guilt that, like, as painful as it was, I got it out the way. And
Right.
now I know for years to come, because we're only getting older, I know that these are experiences that my friends are going to have to experience. And knowing that pain,
Mhm.
knowing that it comes for them one day, that's
Mhm.
something. And, with my friend who recently lost his mom, I've been checking on him. And, I hit him up and I said, if I get too overbearing or annoying, just let me know.
Right.
And the reason I said that is because as someone who was on the other side and as someone who said that this would happen, I know what happens when the calls dry up. I know
Right.
what happens when
Ooh.
the texts, when the cash apps, when the visits, I just want to know how you doing. I
Yes.
know what happens when that dries up. And the
Right.
interesting thing is that expands beyond physical death, right? Because when we
Mhm.
talk about grief is the emotional response to loss generally.
Yes. Yes.
So for that breakup that
Mhm.
nobody was supporting, but
Right.
your heart was still in,
Yes.
if you wanted to start school last semester and it was a no, or rather, if
Mhm.
we reframe it, it was just a not right now. I
Right.
feel like there are these passions and there are these dreams and there are these hopes that we have. And when we lose them temporarily or even permanently, there's that emotional response. So being able to see how you're held by community
Mhm.
does something so beautiful, and how you're able to hold community. And then the second thing that you hit on, I love it because you talked about capacity. And if it's one thing that grieving allowed me to do, it really allowed me to reassess my capacity. Because, you know, I thank God for my mother, rest in peace. Like, she lives on in every single thing I do. And I know that so much of the way that I would perform and so much of the way that I would push through was for her, because that was my rock. You know, that's my homie, that's my dog. Like,
That's it.
I'm so for Kathy Baker. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't play about that one.
Exactly.
Okay? Play about somebody else, but not that one. But after I lost her, there was almost this interesting recalibration moment, because until you've lost a parent in that capacity, like, you don't know what it means to look at a world that temporarily loses meaning. Where, like you said, going back to school, going back to your job, like, baby, I'm not doing none of that. Like, I do not care. My rock is gone. All of a sudden, you have this come to Jesus meeting about what mortality is and the meaning of life. And you like, if I can lose the closest person to me in this world, you think I care about your funky job? You think I care about
damn, Josh, how you been reading my diary? What
listen, you really lose the will to perform. And the funny thing is, once we talk about capacity and these restorative definitions, something that has been on my mind lately is sometimes people will ask you that question, what can you handle? Or even you ask yourself, what can you handle? And what I realized, definitions are so important in the way that we operationalize things. For me, handle does not mean, by definition, what can you struggle with but still get done. For me, I redefine handle as healthily manage. What can I healthily manage? So no, I do not consider I can handle it if I'm going to be strung out and struggling and body shutting down. For me, that's not handling. For me, by definition, for me to handle something, I need to be able to healthily manage it. And even when we think about some of the other things that feel like personal attacks to our ego, because that's what it is if we want to have a real conversation, what happens when you feel like incompetent, or you feel like an imposter, or you feel like all of these things? Depersonalize and like literally look at definition and ask yourself, what does that actually mean, right? So the next time you're having an imposter syndrome and you feel like I'm not supposed to be here, do a resume check, because I know you didn't get here for nothing. You got into that PhD program and you don't feel like you're supposed to be there. Baby, they have to look at your resume. They have to look at your statement of purpose. They have to look at all that. Okay, you got that job, baby. They have to look at it. Somebody else put their eyes on it. Okay, you did the work, and somebody else put their eyes on it. Even when it comes to definitions of like, what does it mean to be incompetent, right? Because I'm a firm believer, and I actually recorded a podcast episode about this recently, about this idea of like, sometimes you have to find your flow. And like at the beginning of any new thing, you have to give yourself the grace of like, I have to give myself time to find the flow. I have to give myself to not know, right? And so what does it mean to be incompetent, right? What does it mean to be inefficient in something? If you depersonalize it, it's not about you. It's about a limitation of knowledge. It's about a limitation of skill. If Josh Baker is not a master at something immediately, that's normal. That's how the learning process works. That's how the skill development process works. But once again, even to tie this full circle, because you know I can go on a tangent.
Oh, and I love it. I love to hear it.
But when we get back to that full circle of like Blackness and how it's presented to us, it's Black excellence or bust. We don't know what Black mediocrity is. We don't know what Black averageness is. We don't know what Black lack is. We don't know what it is just to kind of chill for a second. The only way we can get that worth and validation is if we take it to the top. And I ended on this point. I was talking to a friend earlier, and we were just talking through some life things. And she said, I'm such a mess right now. And I said, okay. And what if you are? You're loved by messes? Because I know I'm one. You're respected by messes. You're admired by messes. You out here inspiring messes. You know, mess is a state. Messy is a state, but you are eternal. And you've had messes before, and you've overcome messes before. So that's okay. And as Black folk, I want us to be able to embrace that idea that we can be messes too. And it's not about a reframe where I have to try to talk you through it and be like, oh, no, you're not a mess. Baby girl, you a mess right now, and that's cool. That's part of the process.
Man, Oh my God, Josh. Oh, like this every time, like why we still talking? Because you just always just lay it like that. I feel like again, like that is definitely something that I am working through. Like I one thing that I heard like after 2020 was like, well, be gentle with yourself. And like again, for me, realizing what does that mean? And like sometimes
Yes.
gentle is just like I'm gonna lay in the bed all day and I'm just gonna Netflix it up. I'm gonna eat
Yes.
good and I'm not gonna look at scale anymore. Like even now that I'm starting to have the conversation of what I want healthy to look like, I don't want healthy to look like I am scaling. I'm doing these before and after picture. Like, like I want a
Mm.
nice ass. I want my stomach to be flat. Like that is what healthy like is gonna look like to me. It's not so
Yes.
much about a scale. And I think again, like knowing like when you said like as even in our blackness, it either has to be, black essence a bust and nothing in the middle. And like I
Yeah.
felt that. Like even though we're on social media now and there is as much positive as it is negative, like we don't see enough of just mediocrity. We don't see enough of like, who I tried this event and only 5 people came out. It's like either you have it sold out or you don't talk about it instead of being
Exactly.
like you started from somewhere. Like you did it because
Mm.
and not only did you have 5 people, but you also dealt with the imposter syndrome. You also dealt with the fact of like having the anxiety, having all these things, but you still did it anyway. And like I think like again, having those people in the community be like, okay, like yes, you it was a mess today, and that is okay. Like nobody, like no, like I like my even my wife, like when I was we it was a whole bunch of stuff. Like it was October, deciding what I was doing with a job. I was moving and like I just had boxes everywhere, doing a comp exam, doing midterm. They
Mm.
crazy like that. You do midterms and
Right.
okay. And I was like, I gotta get these boxes. And she was like, we just signed a lease, Danielle. We have a whole year. These boxes are in, and I'm like, I needed to hear that. I need to like
That's
it's gonna be
powerful.
okay. Like you can we can live our boxes for a little while. You unpack when you are able to. And like again, like just giving myself
Mm.
like grace, like and what that
Yeah.
looks like. And like so my word for the year has been ease. Like we like for our girl group, we always have so my it's ease. Like and like when what you said, like not only like are we doing it where it's like if it's not gonna serve me in a way where I have to go outside of myself or I'm working too hard or I'm stretching my day. Like this ain't what I
Yeah.
want. Like I want something that feels natural. Like I want to do. It's gonna breed creativity
Mm.
and it's gonna be something that like I feel comfortable doing and not be like, who I can't wait for this to be over with. Like I want to enjoy
Right.
the process.
Mm.
There's so many times that I'm waiting for the finish line that like I can't even see the beauty of the fact of just going through the process.
Mm.
I can't see the beauty
Mm.
of going through the process.
Mm-hmm.
Don't read me. Exactly
That's
what
some
I'm talking
power right there. That's the extra strength Tylenol right there.
about.
Jail
I love
caps.
that. I
Just
love
look out.
that. That concept of like them boxes can wait. We got a whole year. It makes me think of one time I was like uber stressed out and I was talking to my aunt and my deadline was Monday to get a whole lot of shit done. And I
Mm.
remember her just saying, well, today is only Thursday. And when I heard that, like it did something to my body, like it
Mm.
recalibrated me. And all of a sudden, I started bringing that mantra. Well, today is only Thursday.
It don't.
And between Thursday and Monday, a whole lot of stuff can get done. And if it's not done immediately on Thursday, it's only Thursday.
It's only
You
that.
got days in between. And another thing I love going back to this recurring theme of grace.
Mm.
As much as we want to give ourselves grace about implementing these new strategies, about unlearning the bad ones, because
Mm-hmm.
it's two sides of it. It's
It
learning the good
is.
ones, but it's also unlearning some bad strategies as well. One thing that I want us to be able to incorporate as it relates to grace as well is grace and even getting that wrong sometimes and ebbing and flowing in the way you're able to show up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the importance of transparency. I was having a mental health talk with my alma mater's honors program, and I don't mind being candid. I said, there have been times in terms of like suicidality and like the conversation and mental health talks, I have encouraged people to stay alive when I didn't want to be alive myself. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't prevent you from being able to be a vessel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are opportunities once again because we disrupting the dichotomy. We're
That's
getting
it.
rid of this healer or healed. No,
Mm-hmm.
we're all of it. We're
Oh,
everything. And just because I'm in my situation right now, just because I'm trying to incorporate better self practices, and today I'm struggling, because that imposter syndrome creep back up. And now I feel like my productivity does define my worth. And now I'm jumping, doing everything I can, about to break myself down. That's cool. We got them tomorrow. Today was all right. We're gonna get better. Tomorrow we'll embody that self-care that we're really working toward. So even in the way that we, are implementing those new self-care strategies, give yourself grace. Once again, historically, societally, where have we had a model of what this looks like? This is trial and error for us.
Right.
And a lot of us are trial by fire right now. Okay. So yeah, just be able to give yourself the grace that, like, you're not gonna come to one chat and shoot and have every answer. Sometimes it's gonna take going to the library, it's gonna take some Google, it's gonna take some looking into medication, it's gonna take some therapizing, it's gonna take some prayer too, but not just prayer. Go talk to your pastor if you want to, but don't let that be the end.
Yes.
It's going to take a multifaceted approach, because if you're a multifaceted human being that has many different parts of you, how do you think like one thing is going to solve everything that you got going on? You don't go to one person who can do everything on your car. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have specialty, you have specialization. So for your healing is going to need a specialized approach as well.
Let's see, and some of it going to be things that you don't even know you need or know you even want until you begin to try some things. And and I think learning to say yes, but then also learning to say no. Like that's also been my thing. Like saying no to what I don't want to, but then even going and saying yes, and even if you don't like it, like you tried it though. Like you did what you needed to do to begin that. And so I think for me, it just is really about learning what I want, what I don't want, but then also just knowing that it doesn't hurt. Like the way that I see like I said about black wellness, like there are things where when I was talking to my girlfriends, like it was like equating it to like almost like cleaning your house. Like you can clean your house and it look immaculate, but it don't stay that way. Even if you're not even in the room, you need to go and dust. You need to go and do some things. Like so, it's like even when it comes to to breaking up and doing the black wellness, just knowing that it's a continual process. You're not gonna go to therapy for a year and just be made whole. Like it's gonna be a continual. Even if you decide to do therapy and then move on to going to a spiritual mentor or going to doing some Reiki, like it's always gonna be a process in doing things, and you're always gonna need that maintenance. Like so again, like it's an ongoing process, and there are gonna be times like where you said where like, okay, I'm telling you about to do better when I don't feel better, but it's the fact that you said it. And like there's something about I read in a book, like a lot of times it's like we think about like our brain only know what we tells it. So if we tell it all the time, they're like, oh, you a jackass, you this, like your brain only know what you tell it. So even though you may not fully internalize it, your brain heard that like I believe in you, I see you, I do those things, like, and we keep moving forward. So even though like my wellness is not where I want it to be, it wasn't what it was 2 years ago. It isn't what it was. It isn't what it was 4 years ago. And so like the fact that I am continually being consistent means that one day I'm going to get to that point. And then, and honestly, if I actually was to get self-actualized, that means, Maslow said you die after you get self-actualized. So like, I ain't trying to die right now. I'm trying to keep moving and keep learning more about myself. And so like, I know like 35-year me is like, it's not 25-year me. And like, it won't be the 45. Like I am continuing to like learn about myself, learning what I like and don't like, and know like it's just like my damn allergies. Like it's continually to evolve, and like I gotta figure out what's going on. But like it's gonna continue to evolve in my life and what that means to me.
That's beautiful.
There are some amazing comments here from people doing amazing work here, but I want to show y'all something.
Ooh. Them last few words, baby.
So I won't feel alone. This is why we're transparent. This is why we have these community conversations.
Yes. So I want to just say, like, the one thing, like my last position was about advocating, and like one thing I did learn about advocating for others was how to advocate for myself. Like advocate and say what I need. And so like I think that is the the biggest lesson. So like one, I want to say we hold space for you, Janaya, in this space of like knowing what that means. And sometimes like I look at like what I did back in 2020, and I went back to work like not even a full 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
I was like, my ass should have been at home. Like I should not like in doing these things and again advocating for those because like I didn't want to be alone in my thoughts, like crying to work, going home and like crying from work and missing my mom and all those things. It's like because I was advocating for others. So hopefully it would be a space so that way I didn't feel like I felt like okay, at least I'm doing something and not holding space for myself. And so I think it's so important that like, as we advocate for others, that we hold space for ourselves because we are just as important as though we are advocating for.
Yes.
Mm. I know we can be over a few minutes, but because there's so many other topics that I want us to come back and cover, like our mental health and being queer, right? And being trans, right? Also our doing our own healing work, but making sure that we're not harming other folks in that process.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Ooh. So are we saying we're gonna try to make this at least a quarterly, at least a monthly? Because I got something to say about all those topics.
I'm looking to have y'all come back more and more often. Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen. There's so many things to talk on, but I just want to say thank you both for being
Thank
here.
you.
This is not an exaggeration, y'all. When I say that this is my village, full transparency, I have been without my medication for 5 days now. That's the longest I've ever been without it. And I was scared. I was terrified. And I talked to my sister, and she said, you know, before you even had tools to manage it, you managed it, right? Like,
Wow.
don't forget who you are,
Right.
right? And like you did it without help, without medication and all that before. But also this time, what's so different? I have people.
Wow.
I am learning that my healing and my self-worth requires people. It's going to require a village community. Two separate occasions, Danny texts me, I'm checking on you. I love you. Right before that, Josh had texted me, you fell in my spirit.
Mm.
And had literally said everything that was wrong with me, what I was going through at that moment. So being careful to not miss your help too. Some people don't want to harm you. We're so, and rightfully so, we're very cautious about who we let in and who we
Yes.
let have access to us. But there are some folks who do not want to harm you.
Most
Who
definitely.
do not.
Most definitely.
And we can go on and on because remember those topics that we just brought up because I
Yes.
really want to do that. And Janaya, I was gonna do a drawing, but that's beautiful. If you would drop your cash app, let us treat you to lunch today.
Yes.
Drop your cash app in the comments and TKO will treat you to lunch today. But updates. I did not know how to do the picture, so what I'm gonna do is don't judge me, Danny Mars. Update.
It's okay.
I want y'all to see this flyer. I'm finna move us off. um, so everybody can see the flyer and y'all take notes, okay? And then we'll pop back on.
Yes.
All right, Dan, you want to tell us?
Yes. So I run Yes I Have a Therapist with my best friend Renee. And so we do monthly talks. So our talk this month, Black History, Valentine's Day, all this stuff is about self-love. And so we've done it the last couple of years. And so we're just gonna talk about how self-love looks like for us in this time in our lives. So can't wait to see. And I will put it in on our page and just share it on my personal page. So if you follow me, or again, if you have not followed us, our name is Yes I Have a Therapist.
And I'll be sure to make sure that TKO shares it
Okay.
on the page too. Amazing work. The only reason why I don't have on the Yes I Have a Therapist shirt is gotten too big. So I'm gonna need another t-shirt. I'm gonna need another t-shirt soon. Okay. Josh, you got anything going on? I know there's a show happening.
There is indeed. There is a high tea. Apparently, tickets are going fast. But if you go ahead to the Flourish Alabama on Instagram, you can go ahead and find out how to get that link. I guess I could have, been on it and had the link for y'all. But that's neither here nor there. But go to the Flourish Alabama on, it should be all social media sites. And not only will I be spitting some poems for y'all, but the indomitable Humble Lee, I don't know if y'all have ever heard her sing. It's a treat. So go ahead and copy your tickets. That will be Sunday, 8 p.m. the 13th, right in time for Valentine's Day. Make your shawty smile. Support Black business. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
If it's you and her, that baby can sing. I'm telling my age, that baby can sing. You hear me? Sing. So that's gonna be a dope show. The updates that I have are as you all know, TKO has been fighting along with some amazing community partners here against bills. SB 184, the anti-trans legislation against our youth. It made it through the House committee. And not even 30 minutes before I got on this live with you all, I received another bathroom bill. I don't know what the attack is on our children is about. It's starting to come across very pedophilish to me, because why are you worried about that? Especially if you would see them as members of your community. But if y'all want to support, if y'all want to help, like, now's the time. And I am speaking out to cis folks. I'm speaking out to, like y'all, it is time to be vocal. Like, leave our children alone, right? Leave our babies alone. And this bathroom bill is looks like HB 322. Whew. Yeah. So we're back to fighting against white men who sell lawnmowers, making decisions about what should be going on with our people. Literally, there is a representative who sells lawnmowers who's making decisions about this abortion ban and all these other things that are happening. Leave it to the professionals, please. That's just common sense. But again, maybe that's considered a non-traditional approach too, and they should consider it. So, what do I know? But thank you both for being here. This was beautiful.
Thank you for having us.
There is a grassroots committee meeting with Alabama Rise's co-founder. So I'm part of Cover Alabama. We're working to fight, to expand Medicaid in our state. I co-chair the grassroots committee with the amazing Debbie Smith. And that meeting is at 1:30 today. If y'all want to come and check it out, I can send you the link personally or whatever. But again, I just want to give people their flowers. You two are brilliant. You are brilliant. And even though we were laughing and high, I need y'all. Yeah, we're gonna have to make this a regular thing.
Yes.
We're gonna have to make this a regular thing.
You need to number the word. Nothing but a word.
You know how to get in contact with us.
Okay. To heal our people.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to have to be a non-traditional approach, and this is very much it. And I love you both so much. Thank you for the work.
Same.
Thank you for being a part of the TKO family. Daddy been there for a minute though. She just finally to come work over here. Anything I can do for y'all, anything TKO can do for y'all, we're here. And thank y'all. Thank you. We're gonna hop off. Oh, look, and we got a minute to spare. Wow. Is there anybody I want to shout out before we hang it up?
Shout out to Bay. Shout out to my besties. Shout out to all the haters that made me greater. Shout out to Z Outlet for the nice earring. Yes. I can get up for this one.
See.
Shout out to Renee, to my, she's my ace. She's always there. To my wife Toya, who's quiet, so I can do this. Just to anybody who decided to step on and to listen to us, because we here to stay. So like, either listen to us or move on. But we got stuff to say.
And know if you're listening, you have a part in this process too. we looking at you now because you learned some things and you can take it back. And what they say in church, reach out and touch somebody's hand. So now you can go touch somebody else's hand. You got a little piece, then you take it to them, and then they gonna take it, and they gonna take it.
Hiya.
You know it. We all get touched, okay?
Come on, man, it's shittables. Hey, we gotta take it up sometimes. But no, also family, if y'all have ideas, topics y'all want covered, because you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and say it here now. Danny and Josh, y'all will be back, and we're gonna be covering more mental health talks. I don't know how this is gonna go, but you will be back, and this will be a continued thing.
Can't wait.
I love y'all. We're gonna hop off. I'm gonna end the broadcast. So bye.